Special bonus edition here. It's like I'm in the usual place, and Brad is in PSA Canada HQ, the brand new HQ. It looks like an office, but it is part of the PSA Canada HQ. Brad, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking the time, Carlos, to assist me with bringing the official news of launching our new receiving center in Mississauga.
Yes, absolutely. So Brad is indirectly. We are actually in the same city limits, which, given the size of Mississauga, is actually still very far apart. But nonetheless, it is within city limits of it. So what's funny is, and I'll just let you all behind the curtain a little bit before we hit record. I was talking to Brad this morning. So this morning I recorded the AMG podcast, and Brad was in the Maritimes. So he has come closer this way via airplane. But in reality, so we're actually, first recording Brad wasn't involved in, but I did chat with him. And now I'm talking to Brad again in a recorded format a lot, hours later on the same day.
I know, I love it. We were being a little loud this morning, especially after the Blue Jays game last night when Steve and you are doing the podcast for AMG. It was a little bit of a ruckus. We have a couple Seattle Mariner fans in there, so
what?
Yeah, they're haters.
What you need is to take resumes for new people. Like we need to remove some people.
Oh, it got heated. It was getting heated. It was good. It was some very, very good banter and very witty banter. So it was nice. But yeah, working in the Halifax Submission Center this morning, flew this afternoon. Now I'm here at the receiving center in Mississauga for the foreseeable future.
There you go. Perfect. So why don't we start off with this? So the reason why we originally kicked around a couple possibilities, but I had a feeling there was going to be some tightness on the schedule, but I figured we would have a conversation and record it because that way we can go through all the different parts that we want to talk about. So you just said a moment ago, the new PSA Canada HQ, which has been announced for a while. So October 20th is officially when it's starting. We're recording that about a week out. So it's going to be on the Monday. But let's talk about this. You said receiving center and submission center. So AMG is still going to be receiving cards. So if people walk in and give their cards, they can still submit them to PSA. But in Mississauga, you've got an office, receiving and submission. So what's the difference between these two things?
Exactly. So in Halifax right now, what we have is a submission center where customers can drop off to a PSA employee, can drop off their cards there, and then we would ship those cards directly from there to our facility in New Jersey or Santa Ana, and they would be received at that point. So there's a lag when you have a submission center. So in Mississauga, this is our first receiving center that we've launched globally. So what happens here is a customer would come in, they'd complete their order on the online submission center, or we have a team here of concierges that can help assist as well. You can come in, we'll help you create an account, you do it on the online submission center, and the order will be received right here in Mississauga. When it's received, you'll see it on your account. It will show immediately that it was received. Then it will go through the first few images and a few other steps that we're going to do here to expedite the process as well. Cards will still be shipped out daily to either New Jersey or Santa Ana, depending on service levels. And once that is completed, the cards will be graded, sent back to here in Mississauga, and then they'll be shipped back to the customers.
Perfect. Now, I'll touch on a couple of things related to that in a second. But first one, you just said a moment ago, if I'm starting fresh, you said that they will help me create an account in this case in order to do that. And because it's an account specifically related to me, then when I'm looking at progress, I'm basically looking at my progress. This is obviously much more fancy and advanced than this old spreadsheet back in the day, if any of you were familiar with it.
Exactly, 100%. It's something that we've been working on for 2 years now to get it to this point. Most people are saying right now we are launching the receiving center here in Mississauga, but what we're also launching is the new, what we call OSC, which is our online submission center. So over the course of the last year, our product and tech team has been working on developing the new OSC, which mirrors the US OSC. It's also going to be bilingual, which was a big thing and very important for us as Canadians to have a bilingual website that's going to help out a lot of people. So on the 20th of October at 8 a.m., the new OSC will go live. So when a customer is based in Canada and they go to psacard.com, you'll automatically be redirected to psa.com/en/Canada. So it will take you there automatically. So as we all know, for the last 6 months, Canadians were unable to submit directly to the US due to the tariff situation. Mm-hmm. So we turned off the US OSC to anyone in Canada, was not able to submit on their own directly.
Mhm.
So now on the 20th, we're back with the new Canadian OSC. So customers are able to submit on their account directly to us here in Mississauga.
Mhm. Right. So that allows them then to get connected to the main PSA network. Now they're going to have it. They've got their own hub that's Canada based that mimics the US version of it. So basically, I'm just repeating what you're saying there. And that allows them to have that same accessibility they had previously. Now, does that play in this case? Like you said, if I'm walking in there, you're going to help me set up the account. But in this case, based on what you're talking about, so that's how the current Collectors Club folks, that's how they can access it and be able to regain some of that functionality and then be able to send in their own stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you have a Collectors Club membership now that you purchased through the US,
Mhm.
it's still eligible for us, the Canadian OSC, automatically. So now your Collectors Club membership will come back into play, which is very important. I know it's been a pain point for a lot of customers, and we've been working on different things internally to make it better for Collectors Club members that were unable to submit directly to the US. So as we keep expanding internationally, the Collectors Club membership is going to be under one, I guess
You
I'll
go
say
ahead, Brett.
one umbrella. Yeah, it'll be under
Mhm.
one umbrella. So if you have a Collectors Club membership, no matter where you purchase it, Canada, Germany, I don't know if we actually, yeah, I think we have Collectors Club membership in Japan. I should know that, but I'm not.
Yeah,
If you have
I know
it,
that they have, so in Japan, I know they have a fully contained office. I know they
yeah,
do submission and the whole nine. And that'll be a follow-up question that I'll have in a second, because I know that's obviously a question that a lot of people bring up.
yeah,
Japan currently, just for everybody who may not be familiar,
yeah,
Japan has an office very similar in concept. However, they're all encompassing. They literally will grade. So part of the thought process behind that, because I have familiarized myself, I've been listening to it. By the way, this isn't Brad giving me this information. This is PSA themselves funneling it out. Like Ryan Hogue has specifically gone out and stated this. The reason being that they're getting very heavy into TCG and Pokemon. And if you follow gem rate, you're going to see that TCG and Pokemon is a rather substantial thing. So in a lot of ways, it's good that a marketplace that is very strongly leaning into that has the ability to turn it right around. So instead of sending it all the way across an ocean, they can take care of it right there and then get the cards right back out to the people that are asking them to be submitted.
absolutely. So yeah, Japan is a full-fledged grading operation. So they have their own OSC. Everything is submitted to Japan, is graded and shipped back to the customers right from there. We are doing, I think we announced it within the last 30 days, but Germany has been announced as well, which is going to be, I think, a game changer for the European market. That's for sure. When you look at everything now, shipping cards overseas across, like, there's a lot to it, especially now realizing we've been handling international dealer orders through Halifax for a lot of our international customers. And when you're shipping from, Italy, the UK, they're all coming over. It's a strain. It's a pain point. It's a stressful situation for people that are shipping long distances. We see it just shipping across the border from here, from Canada to the US, how much of a pain point it can be for customers. So now, with having Japan full grading operation, Germany is going to be a full grading operation. We're looking to launch more receiving centers internationally, to be determined where those will pop up at. We have a submission center in Halifax on the East Coast. We have a receiving center now in Canada. We have in Plano, Texas, you can drop cards off as well now, which is great. We have Santa Ana, we have Jersey. Obviously, we're aware of the new Florida facility, which went in operation last week, which is great. So as a company, we're putting all these offices in to help with the demand that we're seeing right now and to take away friction from customers.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, the follow-up question, kind of related to what you were just talking about a second ago, is that one of the first questions that's going to come up, and we'll touch on the expo here at the very end. That'll be one of the things we'll talk about, since that's coming up. But one of the first questions last, we just talked about Japan. We just talked about Germany. We talked about all these different operations that are being added into it. And then stateside, you're adding additional places to it. But the first question that people are going to ask always is going to be like, okay, so when do we get grading in Canada to Canada back to us? When do we get all our Hal Gills back, Brad? We want our Hal Gills.
Absolutely. So from day one, that's always been my goal.
Mm-hmm.
The first goal I had when I started with Collectors and PSA was to bring on-site grading to the Toronto Expo. And that was the first time that ever happened. And now we're going into year 3 this year. which I'm very proud of to be part of that. That was something we didn't think could happen, but our team invested heavily to be able to do that. It's a big lift for us. It takes away from other operations in order to pull that off. Plus transporting all the employees and equipment across the border. None of that's ever easy. So that was one of my proud moments at PSA. Next, I always want to have full grading operation here in Canada. So I believe with the receiving center, with the new online submission center, with allowing customers to keep cards on their account, to see all these benefits that as a company, we've developed in product and tech, and we're going to bring everything eventually to Canada. That's my goal from day one. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time. Currently, we're just going to be accepting trading cards, packs, and tickets. I can't wait to open the doors to PSA DNA. That's probably the next major thing on my list, is to make that happen. Then used to be WADA, but PSA video games now as well. We could launch that sooner than later. Comics is a huge part that we're going to be launching in 2026. All these things do take more time and manpower, and product and tech has to develop the back end. It's not just this easy flip of a switch. So we'll be adding services as time goes on, sooner than later. So that's going to be a very important part of it.
Sure. And I'll include, like always, I'll include links in the description to kind of some of the contact points. Is it still good? Obviously, there is a PSA Canada Instagram. There is a PSA Canada, a couple of different social medias. And that's where some of the information has been disseminated out. I assume that's going to continue, that's going to be some of the places where you can get some of that stuff comes online. Basically, you've got a roadmap. And as you go through those different things and you hit these different milestones, some of those things get activated, with the hope, as you just said, of one day having the full package. If we have the full service, the cards are there, they're graded, and then they come right back to you instead of crossing borders, and that kind of cuts that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing is that we're going to make it as seamless as possible from a customer standpoint. So yes, the cards physically are going to go to the US and back, but we're putting that on us through the process, the TIB process that we currently use in Canada, to be able to get cards into the US and back. It does add some time to the shipping process. I can tell you it adds an absolute ton of work on the back end for us, which we absorbed as a company, which you do not see on the fees that we charge. So that was one areas of concern, is how can we continue to do this process, but also keep using the same pricing that we're using.
Absolutely. And one of the things that, if anybody does go down to the expo, one of the things they will notice is that you do have the option to drop off cards directly. And again, we'll touch on the expo thing at the end. But one of the key pieces is that, when you look at the sheet or when you go to the website, the totals are in Canadian dollars, which is, obviously different. I go back, we've talked about in the past, I go back to kind of when Len Potty was running Platinum Promotions / PSA Canada, and it was the nickname, so to speak. And even then, the sheets, and I think I still have one of the old sheets, and this is like 2017, 2018, and it would show $8 for bulk submission, but it was $8 US. It would literally show everything in US dollars. Then you have to do the translation, and then this is how much you need. You have to figure out the insurance piece in it. The shipping piece had to be another. I remember going through the sheet, and he scratched out a piece, and then you had to fill in manually. You had to kind of adjust it. So it was, at the end of the day, the cost is the cost. But it's one of those things where if you're starting in Canadian dollars already and then ending in Canadian dollars, it does remove the translation piece. It makes it a little bit more, at least you're closer to knowing exactly how much you need to pay up front, so that you have a better idea of what you're looking at from the get-go.
Absolutely. You'll see that right on the OSC. It will have the estimated charges, the shipping rate, and the taxes based upon your provincial rates.
Absolutely. So I think that's going to be kind of critical to it. I look forward to seeing more about the OSC, the Canadian version of it, to see how that plays out. And again, I think the key takeaway for that one is it just means the more personalized status check. So as opposed to having to reach out all the time and go, because the old system, I teased about it, but it was basically you'd have your order number and you kind of had to follow up that way and be like, okay, so where am I along the way in terms of that? And you guys would basically have to tell us.
Completely. And that's from a time consuming standpoint, let's say currently PSA Canada has hundreds of thousands of cards in the US out for grading. with thousands of customers. And you can imagine, and I completely understand, but every day there's probably somewhere between 100 to 200 or 300 emails that come into our to my inbox. Hey, can I get my submission number? Which you reply back with the submission number, and then they can follow progress, but it says complete. You don't really know. Like it's been an absolute ton of work for us, but I'm also very thankful to get to this point. And maybe you can tell how excited I am for this to launch, because it's not only going to make my life easier, it's going to make the customer experience 20 times better. And I've been waiting for this to happen. So I am beyond excited to launch this on the 20th. My fingers are crossed. Everything's going to go smooth. Our product and tech team, they're pretty amazing. And if there is some glitches, they'll be fixed right away. That's for sure. But we've been testing for a long time now, and I'm very confident that this will be a smooth launch for us. That's for sure.
Sounds good. I think we'll have some follow up on that, and you'll have a couple of weeks to kind of get out the kinks because, as I said, now we're going to touch on it a little bit. We are going to come up on the Fall Expo here in November. So first week of November, we are going to have that. We already alluded to it, but on-site grading returns for the fall once again. So you're going to have your whole village set up. Now here's a question. Kind of an aside because obviously during the expo this is going to be going on. Uh, does the Mississauga office stay staffed up? Is there people still going to be taking submission? If I don't go to the expo for some reason, and of course, and honestly, you should. There's a lot going on over there. But if for some reason you don't, can I still drop off things at the office itself?
Yep, we'll be open. We're open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for drop-offs.
Okay.
So we'll be open that entire time. You can drop your submissions off at the expo, or you can drop them off directly here at the office in Mississauga. The address is listed on our website, but it's 5560 Explorer Drive. You will have to complete, like I said, every order that is going to be dropped off in Mississauga or shipped to Mississauga has to be completed on the new Canadian OSC. Even though Canadians are currently blocked from submitting on the US OSC, people had some workarounds with VPNs. There's lots of different things that people have done out there. If your order is completed on the US OSC, we will not be able to accept it here in Mississauga. It has to be done on the Canadian OSC.
Okay. So in terms of, like I said, if somebody we touched on it, if someone already had a Collectors Club account, is it a simple transition over from one to the other? Like say I'm starting an order fresh, but I have an existing Collectors Club account.
Yeah.
Getting it onto the Canadian OSC in order to take advantage of that is
automatic.
Seamless.
Yep. Yeah, it's automatic. It will just if you have a Collectors Club membership, it will carry right over to the Canadian OSC.
Good. Okay.
So
I think it'll be a good
transition for that. And one thing I am putting myself out there, and I know we've hired a team here that of a lot of new faces. But as always, I've put the majority of people that do submit to PSA Canada have all my contact information. So now I do have a bigger team as well that's going to help me answer all these questions. But if you do have questions, please reach out to us. I know it's a big thing going from the paper copies. I know when they did it in the US, I remember I thought Len was going to jump off the bridge. He was at his wit's end when all of a sudden it went, no more paper copies. You had to do them online. And that was a huge transition for a lot of people. So we have a lot of customers that have been submitting to PSA Canada for 20 years now, to Len, to 5 years ago, to myself and Sherry when we took over PSA Canada, to the last 2.5 years being part of PSA officially. So it is a transition. So we are there. We have a team in place that is able to help you out to complete the online submission on the online submission center. I just got tongue tied.
Sounds good. So I think one other thing I'll add as well that I think might be worthwhile also mentioning is that part of the process that also hasn't changed is that you do have your platinum dealers. So like Katie Collectibles, Luke, who does, I think it's Little Buddha. I always forget the name of it, but
Yeah,
I know Luke does a good job for me. I'll speak from personal experience. I actually will give my cards to Luke, and then he handles those things for me, and that even includes the on-site grading. Like I gotta be honest, Brad. At Expo, I like to wander around. I'm a busy man, but it's nice to have people. I give the cards to Luke. Luke takes care of that business, and he lets me know what I need to pay, and I pay him, and it's all covered. And especially when it's on site as well. because then I don't have to get in line necessarily to be on site. Now, of course, you can totally get in line and take care of it that way. But those guys also have their own offerings, and they can basically put it through for you.
I agree. We have 18 dealers now in Canada, 4 platinum dealers. Yeah, 18 in total. They're all listed at psacard.com. If you go into the dealer section, you can see them all. I'm going to say we'll have a dozen of them will be set up at the Toronto Expo, taking submissions for take home. At the end of the day, part of my mandate, I want the customer to have the best experience by using PSA, whether that be submitting to us at the submission center in Halifax, the receiving center in Mississauga, mailing your cards to us, submitting through an authorized dealer. Whatever is best for you, you should do and continue to do. We are, like I said, we've invested heavily into, like the new app is incredible. I don't know how many, have you used the new app?
I've got it. Yep. I do play around with it, and especially when I need to double check something. It's actually, I do, like I'm a technology guy and a software guy. There's a lot of aspects of it that I very much like. There's certain parts that I would like to work a little. Sometimes the scan doesn't work as quickly as I would like it to. However, I can scan off of screens, which is a hack. I would recommend it for folks if you want to check the population report or verify. Always verify. It's always worth. I don't care if it's in a slab. It's worth validating that what you're looking at is also the card that shows up on the scan. You do want to double check that. It's worth it. Taking the extra couple of seconds just to double check that.
I agree. I mean, with the amount of different counterfeit and fraud going out there, the more things that you can do to protect yourself as a consumer, definitely do it that way. That's for sure. But yeah, our dealers, I mean, again, I've become friends with the dealer network. It's a small group of people, but now we have them from coast to coast. And I'm very supportive of all our dealers, and I enjoy working with them, and they've done an incredible job. While we've had the online submission center turned off, the only option was to submit to Halifax or through an authorized dealer. And they've stepped up to the plate. They've hired more staff, and they've been shipping weekly. And we've been communicating. They've been very patient with me as well. With a small team that we have of one PSA employee and our subcontractors through AMG, which have been a lifesaver for me. People have been very patient, and I really appreciate that from our customer base. Now it's nice to be able to do something back for our customers, to show them, how much work was involved, the investment to build this receiving center here, how much work went into it. And yeah, we are experiencing unprecedented demand for our services. And, people want 2 things. They want their cards to be turnaround times to be super quick, and they want lower pricing. And unfortunately for us at this point, both of those are 2 things that we're struggling with. So, we increased the price to hopefully curb some demand, which in turn will allow customers to get their cards back quicker. So it's been challenging, but as you can see now, with launching here last week in Florida, officially launching Germany in June of 2026, the receiving center next week, we're doing everything that we possibly can to address these issues.
There you go. Sounds good. And like I mentioned, I'll repeat it one more time. As I said, at the expo, there will be on-site grading for folks that have, some key pieces. That's usually the thing that I like to do for certain specific cards if I'm going to do that, just because I want to get it back in my hands. I don't necessarily want to leave it free floating in terms of that. But then the bulk submission and some of the other levels will be available as normal. All the pricing will be included in there. That's usually something that's set up there. It is a village. If you folks have ever had the chance to see it, it is quite the setup. The amount of people that move in and out of there in order to get that stuff done. But it should be good. It's been 3 years now, you said, that we've had the on-site grading, and it's been very popular. So it's one of those things where, I don't know, have you noticed that an uptick every single year that you've had it?
Yeah, so we have. Yeah, we've definitely had an uptick year over year, and obviously we're hoping for that again this year. I'm quite confident in it. We just finalized our pricing, which is very competitive, and it will be. We're going to release that next week. I don't want to make sure I say anything out of school here, but
this close.
This
close.
I know. I almost did. I'm very excited about that, and I think it gives a lot of people opportunity that don't want to ship their cards. One thing I will add in too, so right now, so people are aware of this, is that when you complete your submission, you can drop it off here in Mississauga or in Halifax. There will be shipping charges applied to your order. So you can also pick up your order here in Mississauga if you want, or you can pick your order up in Halifax if you want, but shipping charges, standard shipping charges will apply to each order. So even if we were going to not allow for pickup, we don't allow for pickup in the US. It was a very big, it's something that I really push for. I wanted people to have the option. And obviously we incur the cost of shipping to the US with our brokers through TIB, shipping them back here, fully insured, et cetera. So there's a significant cost to us as a company. So if you want, you can still pick up your order here, but shipping charges will still apply. Because there's a lot of customers that simply to say, you know what, I don't want FedEx delivering to my condo building. Every time I go down, they just leave the package there. We send everything adult signature required, fully insured. But if you want to drop it off and you want to know you can come back here and pick it up, we'll do all that legwork. So.
All right, that's a good note to give, especially something for someone that may not be familiar with it. And again, this is a new office, so I think there will be some growing pains. There'll be some lessons learned as things are get put in there. The best laid plans. There's always an option for something to be learned about, but it'll be good to see your progress. I think it'll be interesting to see basically how you folks progress out there now that you've got some more and you've staffed up a little bit, and maybe Brad will get like 5-10 minutes of sleep.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That'll be a slight improvement over the normal.
I just get I get to spend more time with you. See, this is good.
It's a win-win for everybody. So, Brad, I want to focus this conversation. We'll so for folks that follow the channel, obviously Brad has been on here a number of times. We'll actually have a follow-up conversation right before Expo because we'll have a conversation with Collector Brad just on the cusp of Expo. That we want to have that. For this one, we want to focus on this specific thing because it's this thing coming up, especially since it's happening next week. So you guys are going to get this almost in real time. So after Brad and I are done talking, this will be on the channel almost immediately. So you folks will have a chance to check it out. And you'll also, like I said, I'll leave basically the Instagram and a couple of basic places, the website. You'll be able to get all that if you want to check it out or if you've got any additional questions to it. But feel free, ask additional questions. You know, Brad and the team now he's got a team, so they can kind of answer some of those main questions. Brad, is there anything else, though, key to this specific opening, this office, what you're doing right here, that you want to make sure we touch on that we haven't already addressed?
I think one thing that's very important to me, it's Tuesday, we launch on Monday, is, and everyone has been very patient. If you do reach out, I will get back to you as soon as possible, but there is going to be a delay. The inbox is pretty full right now. Our team kicks in on the 20th. So up until the 20th, it's still our small little team that we have that's answering all these questions. And you can reach out to psacard.com/support. Our full customer service team can answer questions there. So feel free to reach out there directly to them, and we have a full team ready to go that can answer all your questions. But if you do want to reach out directly to me, I'm doing everything I can to get back in a timely manner, but it might be after the 20th if that happens. And I will say, you'll like this. This is for Bobby, Yannick, Eric, the crew. The first card that we will run through, I have it prepped. I have it ready. I didn't tell you this.
Okay.
What do you think the first card should be through the Canadian Receiving Center?
Oh, so see, I have a much better answer. I can guess. I think it should be an Alec Manoa card. I think that would be thematically appropriate. I think we would enjoy that on levels. But I know that's not the answer you're going with. What is the first card that you're going to run through? Tell us.
Well, you have talked about this because you believe that there is one of these cards in every household in Canada. But
the Gretzky rookie? Yes.
It has to be done. It has to be done. Okay. I think we've graded about 14,000 Gretzkys now as a company, but I made sure, I'm like, this is going to be the first card we put through the receiving center. So, and it will.
So what's a great prediction, Brad? You have it in your hand. What's the great prediction on this one?
I think a 3 or a 4. Okay. It's pretty off center. It's just one that I had, and I said I'm going to make sure I bring this up to do the first submission. That's for sure. So
that's thematically appropriate. You're right.
Yeah,
that is thematic.
So back to that, we're opening at 10 a.m. The online submission center. This will all come out in emails. Also on Instagram, our marketing team is going to start pumping that information out tomorrow morning. But But the online submission center will go live at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. I'm going to say 8 a.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
And you can do your submission starting then to bring in to drop off. And we'll be open Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have some prizes and giveaways and a bunch of stuff happening this week as well. So.
Wow, prizes and giveaways. Now I might have to go by. I don't even need to, like, I was already gonna drop it off at Expo, but if you got prizes, I'm in. Let's go. All right, perfect. So thank you, Brad. Thank you for filling in that information. Like I said, we will talk more, obviously, in the lead up to Expo. We're ramping up to a very busy, and the same week we're recording this, by the way, Series 1 is coming out also. So it's like, so right there, you're gonna have Young Guns. So one of the key pillars of the hockey card calendar is Series 1 Upper Deck. So that is going to be in there. So now we're going to see how many Young Guns we run through there. Now we've got only a weekend.
I know. When you think of everything that's happening, and the launch of the receiving center got delayed, some unforeseen circumstances, but this is just Series 1 Upper Deck Wednesday, submission center launch Monday, then Expo on-site grading starting November 6th.
Yeah, it's the 6th is the first day, yes.
6th is the first day, November 6th. And that setup for us starts 3 or 4 days prior, because as you mentioned, we have to build the city from scratch. So it's there's a lot in the next 3 weeks. Plus we got started the NHL season. There's Pokemon releases that are dropping. We got the Blue Jays. Yes, we are down 2 games, but I have purchased tickets for Game 6 and Game 7 here in Toronto, which will be Sunday, Monday. So hopefully we launch on Monday. I'd love for it to end on Sunday. That's good. That's bold. But if not, Tuesday or Monday night, we'll definitely be at the Rogers Center cheering on my Alex Manolis Toronto Blue Jays.
Tragic. Truly, I do appreciate that hope springs eternal. We could have a whole separate conversation on that, and I'd happily have it. But no, it's good to hear, Brad, that you guys are getting close. So the end is getting close. The light at the end of the tunnel is there, but it looks like a lot of preparation is there between now and then. So it is good to hear that some progress has been made on that, and we'll see. And obviously, folks will be able to give their feedback, and hopefully they have a good experience. And then one step closer to hopefully the roadmap of getting all those other things online, which would be good, I think, for folks around here.
Yeah, and as always, I'll just finish it up. But thanks to you, Carlos. Every time I need something to help me get out there and social media and just to brainstorm some ideas, I truly appreciate. Besides our friendship, but I appreciate what you've helped me do over the years with PSA, because everyone played an integral part to get us where we're at today, and lots of people played little parts, but they all meant a lot to me. So thank you to you for that.
Absolutely. No, it's good stuff. So like I said, usual, all the information will be included in the description. More videos coming up on the channel. Friday live stream, the longest running episodic, whatever it is, we don't know. And thematically appropriate, because October 20th, the same date that Brad is going to be launching the new office, I am going to be live on a live stream. And Brad, that will be 5 years and 1 day since I started doing weekly live streams with no interruption. So October 20th is a big day for everybody.
I love that. That's awesome.
The synergies, Brad, the synergies, it all comes together, right? You couldn't book it like that. That's about as good as it gets. Anyway, thank you, Brad. Appreciate it. And then, like I said, cross our fingers, wish you good luck here in the week upcoming, because it's going to be really busy for you guys. But then, yeah, one step forward in terms of that. And then obviously we're coming up, and then the Expo will be a next milestone, and we'll see how things go from there. But the calendar keeps going. The hobby business keeps rolling along. And now this is another step towards that. So for Brad Hartlin, everybody at PSA Canada, we thank him for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next one.